Welcome to the Thrive in Fashion podcast, where we explore the role of the fashion buyer, the knowledge and skill sets required for success, and the impact of the role in your retail business. In each episode, you will learn about industry best practice and how the buyer's role is evolving in this ever-changing, fast-paced industry. And now, here is your host, a fashion industry expert with over 20 years of experience, Elisabeth McHale.
It's a buyer's job to anticipate what customers want even before they even know that they want it. Hello and welcome back. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the role of the fashion buyer, and in particular, the key skills a fashion buyer should have. During my career as a fashion buyer, I was asked so many times, what is it like to work as a fashion buyer? And I think if I had $1 for every time I was able to answer this question, I really would be a millionaire by now. People's perceptions of what a fashion buyer does are different, and maybe a little bit distorted or a little bit removed from reality. The impression that they have is how glamorous a role a fashion buyer is, and what a glamorous job it is, that you get to travel to fashion shows and work with lots of beautiful garments, and the reality is so far removed from this, I'm not quite sure how this perception has lasted so long. Really, I would have to say that when hiring a buyer, I often look for things like soft skills, resilience, stamina, determination, rather than their absolute love of fashion and how much that they really want to be a buyer. Because it takes a lot of tenacity and resilience and hard work to really hone your skill as a buyer and become a professional. The role of the fashion buyer is essentially to anticipate what your customers want. And that means looking at the trends and seeing what's in the market, understanding who the customer is, and being able to serve them in a way that makes them want to come back again and again, season after season, to shop at your store and buy those particular products or brands that you're offering. In some cases, you really need to be a step ahead of your customer. Timing is really critical because sometimes you can be a little bit too early. Your customers may not be ready for what you have to offer. But other times, your customer may not even know what they're looking for until you actually present it to them. And that's where you hit that sweet spot and can innovate and bring something new. It's new, but it's also familiar for them. It's not too far out from what their comfort zone was. And by comfort zone, I mean what their buying patterns were in the previous season. So some of the key skills a buyer requires are fashion awareness, and this is really that ability to adapt and anticipate trends and to interpret fashion trends, whether it's from the catwalk or from looking at street trends, whether it's looking across other categories and industry and seeing what the trends are happening there. Each one of these impact on each other. A buyer needs to also have strong skills in range coordination. If you are building your own brand and in control of what the selection is or designing your own range, you need to ensure that it is well balanced and gives your customer options to be able to pick one piece or multiple pieces or create multiple outfits with what you have to offer. It's also about anticipating your customers' needs and wants. What are they looking for? What has changed perhaps in the economy? What has changed in their circumstances? What has changed in their outlook? What has changed in the whole fashion industry? Are they looking for more of what they had last season, or looking to move away from what they wore last season and looking for brighter colours or maybe more voluminous shapes? Are they looking for a completely different silhouette? It's really important to us understand the customer's changing requirements and also to balance that against what your brand stands for. You cannot be everything to everybody. And if there's a complete shift and change in fashion trends that's not necessarily 100% aligned with your brand, changing your complete handwriting is not really a good idea for your brand. You need to be consistent in what you offer, while being aware of what the fashion trends are and where you can combine these together that still reflects the integrity and value of your brand and also deliver what your customer may be looking for. The next skill is all about product, and here a buyer really needs to understand how the product is constructed. They need to know that you can buy product, but the advantage in understanding construction of a product will help in how you can negotiate your pricing on that product. negotiating how you develop that product and how you can sell it and sell the advantages of that product to the customer. Strong fabric and technical knowledge really goes without saying. It's one of the areas that I see today a lot of designers and buyers really need to develop and understand much more in depth. Not just the fabrics, but the construction of the fabrics. And it's not enough to say that, oh, I like it because it's softer, or I like it because of the texture. You need to know the difference between cotton, organic cotton, whether it's carded or combed cotton, whether it's polyester or silk. You also need to understand the different weights and what the impact of washing a particular fabric can have. A buyer should also know how to predict the sales potential of a product. And this is really a part that's a lot more intuitive than just reading the financial numbers. Looking at the financial numbers without understanding the product and the life cycle of the product can mean that you interpret it differently or perhaps incorrectly. Any buyer that tells you that they really know a product without understanding the numbers is going to run into trouble, because you've got to understand how both work together. Sometimes a buyer can get it wrong. They're only human. But the success rate of a buyer means that they're getting it right more times than not, and being able to understand the potential and be able to know how long that product has the momentum to sell, and whether they can see when it will start to fall off and that it's time to introduce something new. A buyer should also actively seek and develop new suppliers. I think this is really important for a couple of different reasons. One is the capacity of your existing supplier. They may be growing and getting other customers who are placing bigger orders, and as a result you may get squeezed out. Or they may be changing direction and may not be as suitable as they were before. They may not be able to deliver or produce what you're looking for. And looking out for new suppliers can mean that you can find someone who really wants to grow with you, or maybe offer something in addition to what you already have, and maybe improve or bring something extra to the table. Management skills are also really important for a buyer to have. And as you progress in your career, you will find that managing buying teams means that you are managing and developing assistant buyers and maybe junior buyers, maybe buying assistants. It's really important that you know how to get the best out of your team, how to lead them and how to motivate them. In a lot of cases, how to teach them and develop them, so that they can achieve the same success in their career that you've had. Strong communication skills are good, and ensuring the commercial balance of new and core products is aligned to the business targets that you have. You need to be organised, decisive and professional, along with being a good negotiator and analytical thinker. Time management is really important both for yourself and your team, as there are many decisions to be made every day that have an impact maybe 6 or 9 months later, maybe shorter. It's really important to understand how to prioritise the work, which things need to be done, which decisions need to be taken, because not making a decision can impact the delivery or the shipment of a particular product, and this can mean it gets delayed. The personnel skills for a buyer mean that they should have a commercial business acumen and also a combination of creative flair. You also should be highly motivated and energetic. It's a tough job. You need to be enthusiastic and conscientious and have a tremendous amount of resilience. Bringing a positive attitude to your work and remain open-minded. It's important to work both individually and part of a team and have good colour vision, mental agility, and a high stamina level. If you read any of the job role descriptions for new opportunities, this will help you understand what different employers are looking for and help you do a critical self-analysis if you're applying for a job with a new company. To ensure you're covering all of these areas, it's important to recognise also your own weaknesses and turn these into areas of growth and development. We cannot be excellent or good in all areas or skilled in all areas from the outset. But hopefully, once you understand what's required, these are areas that you can focus on. Just to recap, fashion awareness, product management, and your personal and interpersonal skills are some of the key areas a buyer should have. That's all for this week. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share the show. For more of Elisabeth's industry tips and to learn more about how you can develop your buying skills, visit thriveinfashion.com. There you can find show notes for this episode and every episode. Also, register for the Thrive in Fashion program and sign up for weekly news delivered straight to your inbox. Until next time,